And welcome to Week 3 Boom Bust Fantasy Football, brought to you by the Fantasy Football Advice Network. I'm joined by Kyle and the Professor, bringing you booms and busts of the week. How you doing, fellas?
Great.
Good.
Perfect.
How you doing, guys?
Fantasy's been rough so far with all the injuries and weird performances. A bunch of no names scoring a lot and a bunch of big names scoring not at all. So I'm doing iffy at the moment.
Yeah, results have been a mixed bag the first couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been.
Where are the tight ends? Where are they at?
Yeah. Where they at? All right. Anyways, with that being said, let's jump into some booms and busts of the week. Kyle, let's start with you. Who's the first player you want to talk about this week?
I'm going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk, and I got him as a boom. They're playing at the Rams. Deebo Samuel's hurt. Kittle's banged up, but I'm thinking he's going to play, right?
He's okay, yeah.
Play. But, dude, Aiyuk's wide receiver 1. And hopefully he's got all those cobwebs shaken off from his little holdout and is ready to go because he's fixing to get volume.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head there with cobwebs, right? I mean, he missed so much practice time, and it's kind of showing right now. So let's hope that this is a game where they decide to get him into the groove, because it's been the Deebo Samuel show so far. They've also been using Jennings quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to see what that workload looks like. But hopefully this is the game that Aiyuk gets back in his groove. So
they need him to be that guy.
Very much so. All right, Tony, over to you. Who you got first?
I'm going to go with Mr. Tony Pollard. I like him. This week. Tajee Spears looks to be injured. Join the ranks of the injured players this year in fantasy.
Surprise.
And what's that?
I said surprise, an injured player.
Surprise. And the Titans are going up this week against the Green Bay Packers run defense. They just gave up. But we were just talked about him on our buy list or sell list, Jonathan Taylor. They gave up 100 yards rushing on just 12 carries to Jonathan Taylor last week, and they gave up 3 touchdowns to Saquon Barkley in week 1. So I'm kind of liking my chances with Tony Pollard this week.
Yeah, Tony Pollard has been a surprise in these first 2 weeks. I didn't think he was going to take on such a heavy workload. I thought it was going to be a more even split with Spears, and he's actually been quite effective. He wasn't near that effective last year with the Cowboys, and he's actually racking up some fantasy points this season. So he's scoring this year like I think we expected him to score last year. So stepping up his fantasy game for sure. All right, Tony, give me one more for us.
Yeah, let's do another boom.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the receiver on this one, and that's Mr. Rashid Shaheed. Mostly because I just wanted to say Rashid Shaheed. Matter of fact, I'll say it one more time, Rashid Shaheed. So I like Shaheed in this matchup.
Let's stop. As Cowboys fans, he's in our nightmares this week. He's living rent-free up here all week.
I love him this week. I haven't checked the Vegas odds yet, but this looks to be potentially more of a high-scoring game against the Eagles. Eagles defense, that secondary, is prone to some big plays, and kind of Rashid Shaheed is the perfect receiver to fit the bill. So I'm starting this week with confidence against that Eagles secondary.
Yeah, that Eagles defense has not been as strong as they have in the past. They're not having strong showings. And then that New Orleans offense is dangerous. Holy cow, Derek Carr is on point right now, and everyone is firing on all cylinders. So they're looking like the real deal. I like this matchup quite a bit as well. All right, Kyle, let's pop back over to you. What player you want to talk about now?
All right, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go with our first bust player, and that is Malik Nabers at Cleveland. Yes, he's a volume monster. Yes, he went ham against Washington. Cleveland secondary, much better secondary. That pass rush will get after Daniel Jones quite a bit, I think, this week, and I think Nabers suffers as a result. If you got him, obviously you're probably starting because you drafted him to be a top guy, but definitely going to be tempering expectations. I don't expect him to do very well this week at all.
I noticed that you almost said Danny Dimes, and you just couldn't bring yourself to do it because he doesn't really deserve that nickname.
Danny Pennies.
Danny Pennies at this point. No, I agree. I think last week was Nabers' one opportunity to show out. He'll have one more opportunity this season when he plays Washington again. So,
or maybe when he plays the Cowboys. Who knows?
Yeah, at this point, who knows? That Cowboys doesn't even have a defense at this point, apparently. So, yeah, he had a big week last week, but you're saying that might have just been a flash in the pan just because of matchup, probably, huh?
That matchup and that blow up, yes. He's going to have other big games against better defenses. I just don't think Cleveland is one of them.
Yep, I think that's fair. That's a tougher defense for sure.
Yeah.
All right, give us another one, Kyle.
I'm going to go back to Booms now. Okay. Jerome Ford playing against the Giants. So it's the other flip side of that same game, right? I know last week Deontay Foreman had a ton of carries. I'm not concerned about that. I think Ford is still the guy. I think he gets a ton of volume in this game, and I think he has a really good week against a really bad team.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if he doesn't get the kind of volume, the quality is going to be fine because, like you said, the matchup. But Deontay Foreman kind of worries me. I mean, he got twice as many carries last week, so for me, that's a little bit worrisome. But I think Jerome Ford is still going to have a pretty good game here because Giants, just like you said. So, all right, Tony, what you got for us?
I'm gonna go and stick to the bust side since I've already given you my two booms.
Yeah.
My first bust of the week is going to be team that's kind of surprised me a little bit. Maybe not you guys because you're Baker Mayfield homers, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm not benching Baker, but I am going to bench Mr. Mike Evans for two reasons. Number one, I don't like the matchup against Patrick Surtain. He's one of the top cornerbacks in the league, and the Denver Broncos, that offense, I mean, they've really been struggling. Bo Nix, who looked great in preseason, has not looked good the first 2 weeks of the season. Of course, he's a rookie, and I think he's going to be absolutely fine in Sean Payton's system. But game script, this could be a little bit of a blowout, and I just don't see them having to pass much with Mike Evans. And so for those two reasons, I'm looking him to be a bit of a bust this week.
Yeah, I like that reasoning there with the game script. Like I said, they could get up and just start running the ball a lot, and when you've got two running backs back there with White and Irving that can handle that together, then I think you're probably fine. There might be a couple opportunities early, but unless that happens, might just be a bust of a game. So risky play, I agree. All right, give me your last bust then.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons, and in particular, I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts. I like to say the Atlanta receivers, but I know you want to hold me to a specific player, and so in this case, I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts.
That's for Albert in all of our live chats. The Falcons receiver room is your bust of the week. No, sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
No, you're good. The Chiefs secondary is very, very good. And, I think that he's going to be really limited in that secondary. I'm concerned about Kirk Cousins in his lack of mobility, Chris Jones pressing the pocket, pushing him off his spot, making him uncomfortable. And I just don't see Kyle Pitts being a factor at all in this matchup.
Yeah, well, I've never known a Kyle that didn't disappoint me. So speaking of bust, Kyle, who's your last bust?
So my last one's kind of in line with Tony's Mike Evans pick. I'm going with Rachaad White. And yeah, the matchup is good for running backs, but again, the game script, I think that they're going to end up with a large lead. I think we see a ton of Bucky Irving. Not just because of game script, but also because White had a little bit of a groin issue last week. I think they maybe give him a lighter workload this week and just let the rookie handle the load this week. So be very cautious with Rachaad White. I think it's a Bucky Irving week this week.
Interesting. So you're not thinking that Bucky is threatening on the season, just as end of the game script and
he's threatening running touches.
Injury.
Certainly, I don't think he'll threaten the third down, the receiving out of the backfield. I don't think he'll threaten any of those touches.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to take probably, already is taking a large chunk of actual rushing work from Rachaad White. But this week in particular, I don't think there'll be a ton of check downs and things like that. But because Bucky's not much of a receiver, but I do think they take it easy on White.
Yep, with that groin injury. Okay, Interesting. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for all the booms and busts for week 3. Appreciate you tuning in, and good luck this week.
See you.
Thanks, Corey.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.